What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Roll Tide Cafe, a part of the Bama Standard Network. As you guys can see here, we got my good friend, Daniel Pettey. It seems like who I haven't been on a video with in like a year. But either way, Daniel's glad to have you on here, brother.
Yeah, man, it's feel like it's been a minute, Johnathan. I'm glad to be back with you, brother. Good to be here on this Wednesday night talking a little recruiting.
Yep. Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute.
Yeah, I did too. Right? That was the pause. Was all right. What day are we on? I was about to say Tuesday. So
yep, exactly. So, with that being said, guys, we got some interesting and surprising news to me. To be completely honest with you, I didn't see this coming. We're talking about a transfer portal commit to Alabama from West Virginia, and we're talking about tight end Jack Sammarco. We're going to get into that in a little bit, and then also talk about, well, where does this leave Brody Dalton as well? The one Troy tight end coming in to visit Tuscaloosa in a couple of days as well. We'll get into that, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment below on what you guys think about both these tight ends and everything we're going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I want to give you guys some basic information, and Daniel, I'm going to ask you about him and give me your take. So with that being said, look, Jack Sammarco was a 3-star tight end. He did commit to West Virginia. He's going to have 3 years of eligibility left, so this is not a one-and-done guy, right? He can come in, develop, be there for the future. The latest attributes I'm getting, he's 6'6", 260 pounds, so he put on about 20 pounds of muscle his freshman season through West Virginia. 1 catch, 4 yards. Was never expected to start his freshman season. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I'll get into some attributes, right? Some pros and cons and all here in a minute. But Daniel, I want to give this to you and let me know what your take is on this.
Like you said, it's kind of out of the blue, but once you kind of dig in, it's exciting because, one of the needs going out of the spring was tight end depth. You got 2 guys going to the pro with Dupree and Oots. And it is as good as Cuevas we think he's going to be. You got to have some other guys in that room, and that's where Courtney Morgan in this group is so good at identifying needs. And the spring portal is not really top heavy with names. It's one where you fulfill depth and needs, and this is a perfect example of that. And the more exciting thing is the first thing I checked is what year is he? He's a freshman, and like you alluded to, you're going to get 3 years with this kid. So I mean, he's 6'6", 260. He's prototypical size. So you're going to also, he's got the time to development. It doesn't just that one and done that you usually get out of the portal.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, 6'6", 260. Ooh, that's a big boy.
Big boy.
So let me get into that real quick. Most of the sources you're going to read are going to say 6'5", 240. But if you read the updated sources, it's 6'6", 260. From the attributes that I've read through his profiles on recruiting sites and also watching his film, very physical blocker with extremely high motor. If there's one thing I'm noticing about Courtney Morgan and eval and talent, and then Kalen DeBoer going after it and letting these coaches finish it, they're going after guys that play hard and have an extremely high motor, which this style of offense will definitely require. Does not take plays off and finishes his blocks. If he is on you, he's not going to stop until that whistle is done and he hears it. Plain and simple, what you love to hear. Will occasionally leak out for a catch, and that's something they're kind of developing right now. Like, he's coming in, he's going to be almost strictly a blocker. It seems like, I could be wrong, at the beginning, and they're working on the passing game, it looks like, through the freshman year in West Virginia and then coming over, obviously, into Tuscaloosa. We know one thing about Ryan Grubb, right, and then Nick Sheridan and Kalen DeBoer is they love leaking these tight ends out to the seams. Just when you think you're looking left and right, looking at a running back or a wide receiver or a slot receiver, the tight end's running wide open down the middle of the field. So big dude like that is going to be very interesting. He is a very raw tight end that is definitely going to be under a lot of development for the next couple of years. And when I say raw, I mean extremely raw, right? So it seems like his potential is through the roof, but there's a lot to work on. There's a lot to get there. But, hey, we saw what we can do with talent. I don't know, Josh Jacobs, Mac Jones, all these guys, right? They can go out there. Even Irv Smith, right? Irv Smith was not a high-profile guy. I believe he was a 3-star coming out. Just went in the first round of the NFL draft. That's all. But correct me if I'm wrong. It was first or second round. Yeah. But either way, give me your take on that. You got anything to add when it comes to that?
Well, yeah, you can't coach size, and he's got it. And look, man, the SEC football's gotten away from the prototypical tight end in a lot of ways, where they get these more athletic guys that can stretch defense in different ways. But what the SEC hasn't gotten away from is freak defensive ends that can get to your pass rusher. And you've seen a lot of these offensive tackles need help get chips from running backs, tight ends. And again, this is where this guy can be a kind of a game changer, especially when you get in the red zones where they can kind of equalize those freak defensive ends. And then, like you said, if developing a kid with that size can block and then leak out, those are weapons in the red zone, man. A size like that, 6'6", you can body up anybody at that weight. Yeah, just great for development, great for depth in the room. Very exciting addition for the Crimson Tide tight end room for sure.
No doubt about it. So moving on, though, there is a second question you got to ask with this, folks. Where does this put Brody Dalton? And we're talking about the tight end out of Troy, who is visiting Tuscaloosa in the next couple of days. 6'5", another like 240-pound guy, right? Looks like an extremely good blocker, probably a little bit more developed when it comes to catching the ball. But at the same time, he's coming into his junior season. He's been a little more developed, been in the program a little bit longer at Troy and all that good stuff. Now, my question to you, Daniel, is where does this leave Brody Dalton? Do we give him a scholarship? Do we bring him into Tuscaloosa? What happens now?
Absolutely. Because again, when you look at the years, and like we mentioned too, alluded earlier in this show, the two guys went pro. So, I mean, that's two NFL guys that are walking out of the door. You're not filling one spot, you're filling multiple. And I know there's some young guys coming in. There's some guys in the recruiting class we talked about in the green room. I'll let you talk about. But no, this is, and he fits more that NIL or that portal one and done mold where he's coming in. So again, he can provide that immediate depth. You don't, like you said it, he's more developed in the passing game. So you won't have to worry about that side as much as you would with the Sammarco kid. But no, I don't think it changes the game at all with him. I think we could easily add two tight ends to this room this year. Cause again, one's going to be one and done. One's going to be a developmental deal.
No doubt about it. And when you look at we're just stripped to the bones when Marshall Pritchett, Daniels Jr., all these guys got injured throughout the season, the preseason, I guess you could say. Yeah. It has really put Alabama in an awkward position. It honestly reminds me a lot of, I believe it was the 2021 season when we lost basically every linebacker, and that was the year Deontay Lawson had to start as a true freshman, right, at the middle linebacker position in like the second game of the season. So it definitely reminds me a lot of that. We're really going to see some character. We're going to really see what we got out of this tight end room. And when you look at who we have coming in, I believe his name is Caleb Edwards. I mean, we have a lot of tight end talent coming in, right? So this guy was a 4-star. In my opinion, he should have been a 5-star just because, he committed to Alabama, and I love his film, plain and simple. The guy's a huge vertical threat, can block. He's got the size, speed. Go check him out, all that good stuff. But really, we're not going to concentrate on him right now and who we have coming in. We want to concentrate on who's going to be on this campus right now, and that's going to be, like you said, Brody Dalton. And just to give my quick take on that, I think you absolutely have to give him a scholarship, in my opinion. Just like you said, you got to have some sort of depth and give these guys time to come back. Some of these are not so serious injuries, or stingers that they'll come back from in a couple of weeks. And then some of them are going to be taking a little bit longer. And look, it seems like none of these guys in the past 2 seasons, outside of Oots and CJ Dupree, can stay healthy, right? So, and it feels like we need 9 tight ends on this roster at this point, but however many it takes. But with all that being said, I just want to say congratulations to Jack Sammarco. Hopefully we get Brody Dalton. You know what I mean? We secure him up. And what I love about this is you bring in, just like you said, Jack Sammarco, you bring in a guy that you can develop, a young cat. Then you'll have Brody Dalton, and more experienced guy. He's got some time playing the game, right? Playing some big-time opponents as well at Troy. I know it's Troy, but they played some pretty good people too as well. So you kind of bring in that good mixture, and now we just have to trust Courtney Morgan's evaluation, right? And then Kalen DeBoer and that staff to develop them, get them ready for the beginning of the season against Florida State here coming up in the beginning of September. So with that being said, any last words you want to say before we get off here?
No, I think, again, a surprising development, but an exciting one, because at the end of the day, both these guys got Sammarco on deck. I think we absolutely would still take Dalton because, like we talked about, also need the depth. That's the one position we needed it most coming out of the spring, and it looks like we may be soaring it up. So again, hat tip to Morgan and the gang for doing what they're doing. They're, you know, I think a lot of people look at last season and have questions about Bama, and I'm quietly looking at them like, man, I think they're kind of getting the ship and putting the pieces together to get what we all expected out of the gate.
No, absolutely agree with you. That being said, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments below. Obviously, make sure to check out all the live streams. It seems like there is one going every single night of the week. Daniel's on a couple, I'm on a couple. It just seems to be sprinkled everywhere. So make sure you guys are tuning in almost every day, if not every day. Other than that, everybody have a good day. And as always,
roll down tide.
Can't say it any better.